Good evening, Zambia. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Manifesto Show, a show that gives presidential candidates an opportunity to share their message of hope as far as developing Zambia is concerned. And today, of course, I'm joined by President of Zambia's United for Sustainable Development, Mr. Lazarus Chileshe, Chisela. Thank you so much for having us at your residence as we break word in regards to your manifesto and what you plan to do for Zambia. Welcome on the show.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited that I'm able to speak to Zambians again on this show. And thank you for hosting me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Let's just dive into it. And I think the Zambian people really want to listen and understand what your party has for them as far as development is concerned. Maybe before we jump into that conversation, maybe you can just give us a big background about who is Mr. Lazarus Chileshe, Chisela, and what's something that is unique about you?
My name, as you said, is Lazarus Chisela. My father is from Luengo. He was a son of the first Shimon bin Zapaira. And my mother is from Pika, from Chiturika village. I was born in Kitwe. And however, I've not lived in Northern Province so much. I've visited the place. I am a Zambian.
Great. Maybe a bit about your education background.
Yes. Let me just say exactly so that people would know exactly who Lazarus is. I was born in Usakile, in Kitwe. At the age of 1 year, 3 months, my father passed away. During that time, it was a tradition that the relatives of your father would come and take all the siblings. So all my siblings were taken away. I remained with my mother. My mother shifted to Ndola, Kabushi, to live with the uncle. She lived there. At the age of 4, between 4 and 5, my mother started selling at the market, at Kabushi market, when I was that age. And I was brought up by a single mother, selling at the market. I would imagine today, when I drive around or when I walk around to see what life they live, those people sell at the market. I went to Chileshe Secondary School. That's where my mother took me because I couldn't start school in Dola since I was too short to start school. At the time, you needed to be able to touch the other side of the ear in order to start school. But I was too short when I was 7 years. So I was taken to Chileshe and I started my primary school at St. Joseph's Primary School from grade 1 to grade 7.
Now, speaking about that rich history, the leadership background, how did it start?
I would say the leadership started from when I was in UK. I joined Zambia Association. When I joined the Zambia Association, after some years, I became the chairman for Zambia Association, and I told everybody, the members of the association, that we were going to change the Scotland-Zambia Association to Scotland-Zambia Partnership because we wanted to make it a charity. Now it's a real charity and it employs people full-time. While I was there, we managed to send about 3 ministers from Scottish government. But I wanted to tell the Zambians so that they know exactly who I am. As I said, I was at primary school in St. Joseph's Primary School. And then I went to Masala Secondary School 1982 to 1986. But what was interesting at the time, when I was in secondary school, my mother could not afford a pair of shoes. She bought me Mariposa. Do you know what is Mariposa? That shoe which burns so much in October. And there was a joke going around in school. People were saying, oh, we have a deputy boy who was Mariposa. Who wears a Mariposa? That I took it as a bullet in my heart because my mother could not afford. And then when I finished school, I wanted to become a priest, a Catholic priest. So I joined the Franciscan priest. I went to St. Joseph's again to to join the Franciscan Formation House. I was there. From there, I was sent to Solwezi to do my novitiate. From there, I was sent to Livingston, where I was, to study philosophy. I was supposed to be there for 3 years, but before the end of 3 years, I was dismissed after 2 years when we were supposed to come to Livingston to study at St. Bonaventure University, because I refused to be tested for HIV, because they said everybody had to be tested for HIV. I refused because I was a teenager, a young man at the time. There was no cure for HIV. So that's when I was dismissed.
And many might ask questions, and I understand that Zambia United for Sustainable Development is the party in focus on this particular program today. And many Zambians, as they view and watch you speak about your party and the plans that you have for Zambia. But maybe we can stretch a bit about the values and principles that the party holds dearly as we are approaching the election.
Yes, Zambians United for Sustainable Development is a party which was formed. I would have skipped a lot of things about my life, and I'll go straight to talk about ZUST. While I was in UK, working in UK as a lawyer, working for Ethnic Minority Law Center, we started talking with other friends about Zambia. I joined a lot of WhatsApp groups, and one of the major groups I joined was Zambia Broadcast Radio, which is broadcasted from Washington, D.C. in the United States, owned by Zambians. We were talking about Zambia. We were discussing all the time about the challenges of Zambia. We even interviewed a lot of politicians and other people concerning Zambia's challenges. During that time, I told my friend, I said, we have been talking about Zambia for so long, and all we do is talk about the challenges of Zambia and condemn the leaders in Zambia. What can we do ourselves? We are just armchair critics. And then we said, okay, we are going to form a think tank using all our friends in diaspora and Zambians who are in Zambia. We'll make a think tank and identify or find somebody in Zambia whom we are going to advise to groom and become a leader of Zambia, the president of Zambia. And we managed to make a think tank. We organized all our friends in Australia, in UK, in South Africa, and Zambia, in Germany and Norway. And we came together and we formed a small think tank. And we identified a leader in Zambia.
Right.
This person, I can't mention his name because he's still in the political arena right now.
Okay.
We started advising him.
Right.
But
yeah. I know we can stretch much on that aspect, but I think when we come back, there's another aspect that I want us to stretch on, and I feel like it's on record. And I believe the viewers might be intrigued by it, but I'm going to leave it as a surprise because I want you to probably give us answers to that very aspect. You're watching the Manifesto on Live TV, channel 112. We'll be right back.
This is Enoch Mwaba, aka the Golden Voice. I must say that these are tough times due to the COVID-19 that is all over the world. So it's very, very important that we get to protect ourselves and our loved ones from COVID-19. But to do that, we need to follow the golden rules. And these are masking up at all times. Number 2, maintaining social distance. Number 3, avoiding crowded places. Number 4, make sure that you get to wash your hands frequently or use hand sanitizer. Number 5, always make sure that you seek medical attention if you get to have COVID symptoms. You're watching Live TV. Pleasant viewing.
You're still watching the Manifesto on live TV, and I'm still having a conversation with President Lazarus Chisela. And of course, before I had interrupted you, you were making mention of a very important aspect. But as I said before we went on the break, that we need to tackle a particular aspect that is very also interesting, and we want to find out more about that. The journey from Zambia to America.
Yes.
How did that happen, and what are some of the interesting aspects that followed that journey?
The most interesting thing about the journey to America was when I was going to the U.S., I told my friends in Namibia where I lived that I would throw the passport through the window when I get into a plane to the U.S. because I didn't want to come to Zambia because there was so much poverty. And every time I was here, it reminded me of my childhood, of how I suffered. And when I see everybody, there were no jobs, no what, I didn't want to come. It's not that I didn't like Zambia. It's because I hated poverty. But when I flew to America in a business class and I stayed in a 5-star hotel in the USA all the time I was there, I realized that nobody was created to suffer in this world. We were all created to enjoy the fruits of the hands of God. But because of the system is wrong. A lot of people are suffering.
Is that the reason why you decided to say, let me run for office? Because I understand that Zambia's got more potential than it is actually exercising.
Running for office, that's interesting. As I mentioned when we stopped on a break, was that I was talking about us finding somebody to be the president of Zambia. Unfortunately, and we worked with that gentleman for 3 months, and we realized that his agenda and our agenda was different. We went again and joined another new political party, where we worked for 6 months, and we realized at the end that they also wanted a different things from what we wanted for the Zambian people. That's when we stopped and we said we disengaged and we form our own party. We decided to form our own party. But to form the party, we said we cannot form a party by just waking up in the morning, we call it Sunshine Party. We looked at the structures in this country, the Zambian structures. What were the existing structures? We looked at Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and we formed 13 committees: Committee for Health, Committee for Education, Committee for Tourism, Committee for different law. And then we had asked only experts in those committees, experts in education, experts in law, experts in agriculture to be in those committees.
Yeah, and suffice to say, moving forward, why should Zambia now vote for, of course, Zambia United for Sustainable Development?
Great. As you say that, when we formed these committees, these are the committees we asked it to say, you guys who are in Zambia, because we are technocrats in Zambia and technocrats abroad in diaspora, we said, you technocrats in Zambia, tell us how the structure of health is. For example, tell us the structure of education. And you guys in diaspora, get the best practices, improve on them, and then we implement them in Zambia. That's what we did. For example, if you look at Committee of Agriculture, we've got the professor in Zambia who is in charge of it, who is the committee chairman. For education, for example, we have the Professor Nyondo, who has taught in over 86 countries in the world, who is the chairman of the education committee. These people have designed, for example, education of Zambia. If you look into our manifesto, you see it, that the education is designed to solve the problems of Zambia. And it's fantastic. When you look at the agriculture system, they have put in our manifesto. Then when we finished writing the manifesto after 3 years, then we said we need to give it a name. And that's when we came up with the name of ZUST. We didn't come up with the name in one day. It took about 3 months because we wanted to have a meaning for each word. Z stands for Zambians. We wanted to make sure that Zambians, they know who they are. We wanted to make sure that Z stands for Zambians. Zambians, regardless of your tribe, whether you are Tonga, whether you are Lozi, whether you are Bemba, you are a Zambian. Whether you are Indian by color, whether you are white, you are all Zambian.
Yeah.
And you should be treated the same way.
Yeah. And
that's when we came up with the word Zambia, Z.
Yeah.
It's united. We believe that there is no way we can develop the country when we are divided. In Zambia, we're so divided on the basis of tribe. We are so divided on the basis of poverty and the people who are rich. There is so much gap. There is a big gap between the poor and the rich. You walk in the
but
streets.
Why is there a gap?
You walk. The reason why there's a gap, I'll tell you, it's because of the system. When we got independence, we adopted a system which is known as the rule of man, which ensures that we are all answerable to an individual. An individual can decide what to do. He can have everything to himself, and the rest will have nothing. That's why even because of the rule of man, you see in the street, the kids and the other people are there. We would see a woman in the street selling oranges, selling lemons. How much does she make per day? She makes 20 kwacha. And she has to pay for rent for 300 kwacha in the shanty compound. She has to send 3 children to school, paying 150 for each one of them. Where does she get the money? You can shed tears if you consider what they go through. That's why Zambians United, we're saying, let's all get united. And so that we can provide sustainable development. The third word is sustainable. We don't want short-lived happiness. We've had short-lived happiness in Zambia. When we had Mwanawasa, what did we say? We were all happy. Everyone was happy that the country is going to develop. When he died, what happened? Everything went with him. Came Michael Sata, the same way. They were all happy. We were all happy. We said, now we have a leader. But that's why under ZUSD, we don't have a president. I am the presidential candidate. When you have a president in the party, the president owns the party. When he dies with the party. Because he is the one who has all the powers. As I am sitting right now, I don't have even the power to appoint anybody. Under our constitution, under ZUSD, we make sure that no one has the power to appoint anyone. We don't want the rule of man. We want the devolution of power.
And I just wanted to look at your government structure, especially since that you have jumped on that aspect. And I just wanted to understand, since you won't have that kind of system, what system will you have that will be ushering people into the respective position, of course?
Thank you very much for asking, Danji, that question. It's very important. If you look at the current system right now, you have the minister who is also a member of parliament. What does he tell you? He's a member of parliament and he's a minister. He's going to make the laws in the parliament to protect him so that when he steals, he's protected. When he does anything, he's protected. He's the one who's making the laws. And he has to abide by the laws. That's why we want the separation of 3 organs of the state: the executive, the parliament, and the legislature. No, never again under ZUSD are we going to see a member of parliament who is a cabinet minister. That's why this year we are very happy that we have so many independent members of parliament, because when we have a lot of independent members of parliament, they will agree to change according to our manifesto. If you look on page 26 in our manifesto, we have identified certain provisions in the constitution which we are going to change within 100 years. We are not going to change the whole constitution, but we are going to change the provision that gives too much power to the president.
Why is that important?
It's very important because when we devolve the powers from one individual, we are going to make sure that the president of Zambia will be able to recruit members of the cabinet from outside parliament, and will be able to get professionals. Running a Zambian government sector is not like driving a taxi. It's a very serious business. We need somebody who knows how to drive the economy. If we give you as a means of health, we want you to understand what is the means of health. That's why there are a lot of Zambians who are very educated. There are a lot of Zambians who have a lot of experience. That's why we're saying we are going to get human capital, not only in Zambia. There are Zambians in diaspora. There are Zambians here. We are going to get those people to run the economy. They will recruit those. When you have a minister, he should be able to make the good policies and to run a department.
So your party is not working with any other person apart from the technocrats, people who know the know-how kind of process?
No, that's not correct, because we are working with everybody. But we've got certain jobs that should be run by technocrats. We cannot give somebody to drive a bus of 200 people who doesn't know how to drive. That's what we're doing. And of course, the most important thing with us, the USD, is change of system. That's what we are talking about. You have been playing football for 56 years with the same system of playing football, and you have been losing for 56 years. And you have continued, and you expect to win the team, to win again. You won't win. You have been failing for 56 years, playing the same style of football, and you said you're going to win.
Yeah. Chitulika village.
Yes.
I have lived in Mpika, and I understand that community very well. It's off Great North Road.
Yes.
And I understand some of the challenges that are there. And I know you having a background there, probably you are familiar with the challenges that usually have. I don't have to mention.
I was there, yes.
But what are you bringing on the table, having that rich history, in terms of understanding that the majority of Zambians are living in abject poverty? Now, how can we now begin changing the narrative from your party perspective?
Thank you very much, Ndanji. You talking about the rural area, like Mpika, Chitulika village. In Zambia, it's very sad when you go around the country, especially you go to Northern Province, you go to Western Province, go to any province. It's very sad. Kusanga abantu babonfyolukasu kudima. They use the hoe. After 56 years of independence.
What should they be using?
But when you come to town, you see beautiful bridges in Lusaka. Very beautiful cars driven by politicians. They should buy tractors. Under ZUSD, will buy tractors and we will form cooperatives. In Africa, I was saying when I lived in diaspora, people live in good houses. I was wondering, how did they come up with this? Everyone lives in a nice house. Here, only a few live in good houses. The rest live in, mud houses and shanty compounds and in the street. When we form cooperatives, when we come in as Zambians United for Sustainable Development as a government, we are going to ensure that we form cooperatives. Those cooperatives, we take the villages the way they are. That's why we form cooperatives. In the cooperative, we have so many doctors. Ndanji, go all over Zambia. There are research stations. Mount Makulu, for example, in Lusaka here. When you go there, you find very big 4x4 cars. What do they do? What do they do? They are all doctors. You go there. There are 20 or 15 doctors at Mount Makulu. What do? They only do conferences and workshops and all that. They have fouls and everything. They are educated. Those are supposed to be under ZUSC. Those who will be running cooperatives.
Okay, Mr. President.
Yes.
Sorry to hold your thought. I think as we move forward, when we come back, of course, with our last break, I want us now to get how we're going to get the economy running under your government.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Fridays are not just Fridays anymore. Why? Because Life TV brings you an exciting program called Lifestyle. Full of interaction, entertainment, and packed with educative segments.
I'm living in what one might call, well, it's a secular world.
You find a young person seated well because he has also paid. You continue to sit.
Catch Brenda Kamwendo every Friday at 18:30 on Live TV, channel 112 on Topstar.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Manifesto. And Mr. President, and I know now the economy is a big talk in our communities by many people, and they want to. They're not comfortable in the livelihood that they're living in. They want better lives. And to make mention, of course, one of the things that the communities are talking about is the high prices of commodities and the high cost of living. Today, nowadays, you go on the street of Lusaka, Soweto Market, for example, you ask five tomato, just these tomatoes, 5 of them, they might cost about 4 kwacha, 3 kwacha, and prices are varying from one marketeer to the other. How will your government make the marketplace more conducive?
Mr. Ndenje, we have to go back to the basics. There is no country in the world that has developed which is under the rule of man. Maybe I need to make clear what I mean by the rule of man, so that you as viewers, as Zambians, you will understand what we mean by rule of man. That's why ZUST we want to introduce the rule of law. A rule of man means giving all the powers to one person. When we got independence, we gave the president, one individual, the powers to appoint Inspector General of Police, the powers to hire and fire permanent secretaries, the power and authority to hire and fire even judges, the power to hire senior civil servants like chief executives. And in that system, we created the rule of man. There is no way you can improve the economy in that way. Why do I say this? Why I say this is because you are going to have corruption. Even if you see somebody stealing over there, you can't say anything because you should know where your butter and bread is coming from. You'll be fired by the president. He's the one with the power. You'll be fired by the minister. He's the one with power. So you can't improve that. So that's why we want to devolve the powers. Under ZUST, the president will not appoint any civil servants. Those are the best practices we are getting from diaspora. That's why I'm saying that it's very difficult to improve the economy. Look at the moment. We have so much. We have the leak bucket. The leak bucket is so big. We have the leak bucket under corruption. We have the leak bucket under tax evasion. We have the leak bucket under tax avoidance. We have the leak bucket under price transfer. All these are perpetuated because we have the rule of man. If I can see, imagine you would cry if you understand. I drove to Solwezi when I went to Northwestern. I saw a lot of big trucks on the road. I wanted to know what they were carrying. They were carrying amaloba, slag, in form of copper. Slag. How much can you sell slag to outside the country? That's what we're selling. And we're crying at the moment. Maloba fee. Don't finish products. They were not taken to the copper refinery. Where is the copper refinery in Zambia? They were not taking that. They were exporting amaloba abroad. There, they were fetching a lot of money because they were getting finished products. So that's why when you talk about the economy of Zambia, that the commodities are going high. Right now, it's very sad. I'm trying to give you the basics. Look at tourism. People pay for trophy hunting. They pay in America. They pay in Germany. They pay in South Africa. And when they come here, what do? They go trophy hunting. They don't spend a single dollar in Zambia.
Is that maybe a problem when it comes to not identifying market opportunities?
It's not the market opportunities. It's a system. That's why we want to change the system. Even those who come here, and go in tourism here, they pay in dollars. They pay in dollars. And when those people get the dollars, they can externalize the dollars. And then we are crying, oh, tomatoes going up. Why? Look at the education system we have.
In fact, Mr. President, when you come to education, I just want to bring a practical example. Since Mpika is a familiar, Great North Road is a familiar road, and I believe you understand Serenje, Mukushi, those distances which are there. My experience, I passed through that road, so you can see learners moving a distance from a certain place going to a school, and maybe a school is miles and miles, health is high. So what is your government going to do to make sure that they harmonize that situation?
That's why I'm going into basics again, Mr. Ndanje. I was talking about cooperatives in rural areas. When we have cooperatives, we are going to build a school in the cooperative. When we have cooperative, we are going to build a clinic in the cooperative. Yes, it's very sustainable. It's sustainable. In a cooperative, it's like all the villages. You have a cooperative there and there's a school there. Not right now, you walk miles and miles to go to school. If you have a cooperative, you are bringing people together and then you can provide basic services. That's what abasungu bachita. Bekala mumagrupu abengita. Bekala, that's why bapangira matauni. They make those towns to live together so that they can provide services.
Great.
How can you do it? And as you cut me there, when we look at economy, as you said, we can only improve when we have the rule of law, because everyone is answerable to the law. We can have money in the country where we have a rule of law. Right now, we have no rule of law. How many companies are paying the right taxes? How many of these business communities are paying the right taxes? I'm very sure they pay the right price of the brown envelope. Even foreign direct investors. Look at, when we talk about education, it's a sad story. Look at all the clothes we're wearing. All the clothes that we're wearing, everything that we're doing here. We have been learning for 56 years, but there's no school that teaches children how to make clothes.
Is that not the problem of the mind?
No, it's not the mind. It's not the mind. It's simply the system. To rule you. What we need is stronger institutions. When we have stronger institutions, the things will be different.
Yeah, Mr. President, we can go on many issues. I know there are pending issues here, so I'm going to just leave some few minutes for you to just talk about some of the things that we did not talk about. I know we haven't spoken about mining, social unemployment for the young people, and I think you can use that as a pillar to benchmark the last 5 minutes that I'm going to allocate you to just maybe share some few elements that we did not tackle in our conversation.
Yes, when you talk about unemployment for the youth, it's very sad. Very, very sad. When I was a teenager, I was looking for a job. It was very difficult because you needed to pay somebody to get a job. When we come into power, ZUST, we are going to introduce job centers. For the youth, when you're looking for a job, you have to go to the job center. We are going to make this job center. We used to have labor office before. The job center, that's where you're going to register that you are a job seeker. And when you're a job seeker, we'll make sure that we look after you. We are going to provide jobs seekers allowance. under ZUST, there are a lot of youths, even disabled youths. We are going to introduce disabled allowance and personal independent payment for those who can't work. Now, for the youths, we are talking about the mines. We have a lot of mines in Zambia, but they don't employ the youth. Why? It's because they don't process. We are going to make it very difficult for any mine to export Amalova, to export slag. We'll make sure that they export finished products. That way, we are going to create employment. And again, as I said in cooperatives, if we have cooperatives, Mr. Ndanji, you won't live in town. If you hear the cooperative in Pika is working very well, why do you stay here? Why would you want to stay in town? People move to the rural areas because the cooperatives will be very viable. They have clinics, they will have schools, they will have other services. And again, when you look around here, Mr. Njandi, you're going to find that there are people who are over 65 and they're still in employment. Well, they're afraid of retiring because they are not paid when they retire. So they are sitting in the office. They are sitting on the job. How can somebody get a job there if someone over 65 is still in employment? Go around. You're going to find that a lot of people are still in employment, and they have even made it more difficult for children, for the youths. They tell them you should have 10 years experience as a teacher in order to have a job. Where can you get that experience? You have just graduated. Because they want to stay in employment. That's why you can only get someone who has 10 years, 15 years experience if they are over 65. That's when they'll be, those are the ones we're going to have. And that's clear evidence in public domain. I was very sad in Rwanda when I went to see our members in Rwanda. There was a lady who was helping us. One day I woke up in the morning, I found her sitting in the corner. She was crying with a baby of the age of 7. I said, "Why are you crying today?" She said, "You don't understand." I said, "Tell me, what is it?" He said, I graduated as a teacher in 2017 and I've never been employed. They asked me to provide 10 years of experience. And I don't have a 10 years experience. Yesterday, I went to look for a job to find out whether I've been posted. And what was I told? I was told that there are a number of files here. All these people have been employed because they paid money. You should pay money in order to get employed.
Yeah. Mr. President, I know we can go on and talking, but that was a very sensitive subject matter, and I understand that these are many stories out there that are untold, that are happening, and people can relate with them. Thank you so much for coming through to our program, the Manifesto Show. It was great having you on the program.
Thank you. Just before I go, I'd like to appeal to the Zambians that when you go to vote, I would ask you, all Zambians, to go and vote. And go and vote for ZUST and vote for independent members of parliament, because independent members of parliament are not looking for a job as a cabinet minister. And they will agree to change, to devolve the power from the individual into institutions. We want to have stronger institutions, not stronger people. We are all preview of what happened in the United States. Everybody, we all thought that Donald Trump was bigger than the institutions in America. But because the institutions were stronger and bigger than him, he's on the street. That's what we want for Zambia. We want to change the system of governance. We are not interested in removing an individual from leadership. What we are interested in is changing the system so that right now, it's very dangerous. That's why I'm appealing to Zambians that you go in big numbers and vote for independent members of parliament who will be ready to change the system. We have said that we were going to change within 100 days of being in power. will change. Because when we come into power, we have identified number of provisions in our manifesto which will change, which we are going to ask the independent members of parliament to vote for, so that we devolve the powers that the fire makayaka be muntu umana kabiriyo. We want the power to go into the institution. There is too much power in an individual. We are afraid of a person. Under the UST, never again will you as a Zambian be scared of a person. Even foreign direct investors, they will never be afraid of an individual, and they will pay the right taxes, not the right brown envelope. I thank you very much for listening.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have been watching the Manifesto on Live TV channel 112. Until next time, it's bye-bye and God bless.